Hey there, Hillary. I just saw that you made reservations at my husband's restaurant, but was that a mistake by chance? Or were you just too stupid that you forgot where you were making a reservation at? Rhonda, what are you talking about, and what makes you think that you can talk to me that way this early into a conversation? Well, I'm just saying, you do know that my husband's restaurant is one of the top French restaurants in the whole city, right? And I really don't think it's the kind of place that people of your standing can afford to eat out at. If you must know, we are going out to celebrate our anniversary. That's why we're splurging and chose your husband's restaurant. In fact, we're really looking forward to getting to eat out there since it's so difficult to get reservations in the first place. Wait a second, you mean that you were going to come in to celebrate yours and your husband's wedding anniversary? You were really going to come out to my husband's restaurant to do that? Don't you think that doing something like that to celebrate your anniversary is just a little, I don't know, childish? Not really. How is a dinner date with your husband childish at all? And even if it were, it's not really any of your business how we decide to enjoy our anniversary. And it's even less of your business to even be commenting on it. But you're the ones that are going to be coming to our restaurant, yes? So surely I'm allowed to have feelings about it. Besides, you know that a French restaurant is a very grown-up place, don't you? We can't have children like you and your husband ruining the atmosphere for everyone. Well, thankfully there won't be any children there anyways. My parents were going to watch our kids while we go out. So this was just going to be a date for the two of us, so you can rest easy knowing that no children are going to be there while we're at your restaurant. Wow, you mean you even went so far as to find sitters for your silly little date? But can you really even call yourself a mother if that's how you treat your kids? You just slough off having to watch them so that you and your husband can pretend that you two are kids again? Is that really what you think a good parent does? Rhonda, I think that you are acting absolutely ridiculous right now. I mean, what are you even complaining about at this point? The fact of the matter is that we called to make a reservation and the restaurant accepted it. I really don't see what the point is in dragging out the topic any longer than that. It's already done. More importantly, like I said, this really doesn't have anything to do with you anyways, so I would appreciate it if you could just mind your own business. You really have some nerve talking to me like that. Don't you know who I am, after all? I think that you're the wife of the person who actually owns the business that you're talking about. So I don't really see why you think you can tell my husband and I where we can or can't eat. So if you could just let my husband and I enjoy our anniversary in peace, that would be greatly appreciated. It's just really sad. I can't help but feel bad for you. I mean, I know how poor you and your husband really are. I bet that even if you two could eat at our place, that you would only order the cheapest things on the menu and then leave without even leaving a tip for the waitstaff. Why are you being like this, Rhonda? There is no need to be this rude, you know. And we are more than able to afford eating at your restaurant, thank you very much. I don't know where you got the idea that my husband and I were poor, but it simply isn't true at all. What are you talking about? Of course you're poor. I mean, I've seen the way that your son dresses. He only owns one shirt, and don't even get me started on talking about your fashion sense. They aren't rags. It's just that our son really likes that character from his show, so we bought him multiples of the same shirt. You sure do have a lot of excuses ready to go, don't you? You know that you don't have to lie to me, though, right? I am seriously getting sick of you, Rhonda. You need to stop making so many assumptions about my family. And I don't need you speaking bad about my husband or son either. Do you understand? We are literally giving your business our money, and you still have the gall to insult me?
Did you really think that we were going to let you into my restaurant when you pulled up in a piece of junk car like that? I don't ever want to see you come near my shop again.
Is this Marcus? As in Rhonda's husband, Marcus? You have really got some nerve kicking my husband and I out of your place like that. Do you know that? But I guess you are the owner after all, aren't you?
That's right. And that's why I had to throw you out of my restaurant like scraps to get tossed into the dumpster at the end of the day. After all, my business is my reputation, and I can't have people like you and your husband ruining it.
Well, you should know that Rhonda and I know each other, although I can't exactly say that her and I are good friends at all. But something tells me that you already knew that, and that's why you did what you did.
I don't care about who you know. It doesn't matter to me.
But then, I don't get it. If you didn't kick us out to make your wife happy, then why did you do it?
It is like I already told you. I have to protect my restaurant's reputation, and that means that I can't have any grubby little pores like you running around and ruining people's appetite. Folks like you shouldn't even be allowed to sit down and eat anywhere if you ask me.
Do you really hate people that are less well off than you that much? I know that your restaurant has a reputation of being really fancy, but I think it's just incredibly rude for you to be treating us this way. How can you kick out paying customers who didn't do anything wrong? What kind of business does that? Do you really think that treating your customers like that is going to protect the reputation of your business?
I think that kicking you out is the best possible thing I could have done to keep my real customers happy. Besides, it's clear that if I let you eat, that you wouldn't have been able to pay for anything in the end. You would have just caused a big scene, wouldn't you?
Do you mind telling me just why you think it's okay to look down on my husband and I like this when you don't even know who we are? I would have hoped that we could at least talk about this like adults.
If you think that you're worthy of being treated like that at all from me, then you are sorely mistaken. Ha 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 ha.
And just what makes you say that? What makes you think that you know anything about my husband and I?
Oh, I saw all that I needed to do when your clunker pulled into my parking lot. That told me that all I needed to know about you two.
And tell me, is this a restaurant policy of yours? Because when we did pull in, we didn't see any signs about being judged by what kind of car we would be in. And if you must know, we were in that car because my husband and I were coming to your restaurant straight from work. But what I want to know is where you had specified the kinds of cars that were or weren't allowed to come to your restaurant. Because you can't just make up rules that the customers would have no idea about.
I am getting sick and tired of listening to these poor grumblings. What I want to know from you is why you sought to insult my restaurant by coming in that car of yours. You threw the first stone when you failed to show the proper level of respect to my establishment. Got it?
I'm sorry, but kicking us out is going to be the worst decision that you ever made as a restaurateur. You are finished after this.
Oh yeah? I would have liked to see you try and take me down. You can't do anything to me.
Oh, you're right. I won't be the one taking you down, though. That job will go to my husband. You might want to start looking into another industry because your restaurant, as you know it, is basically done for.
Ha 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 ha. You poor folks really say the craziest things sometimes. Do you know that? What could you or your husband do to affect my restaurant at all?
Well, you do know that my husband manages an important trading company, don't you?
What trading company are you talking about? Have you actually lost your mind or something?
No, I'm being completely serious with you. The fact of the matter is that neither my husband nor I are poor in the slightest.
But that can't be right. You showed up to my restaurant in your crappy little car. Only a poor person would have a car like that.
Well, we got a call from a client saying that they needed some help moving some things, so that's what we were busy doing until our reservation. We went to go and help a client of ours so that we could protect the reputation of our business. Sound familiar? And thankfully, we could do everything we needed with that little truck, so that's what he used.
Oh, come on. You really expect me to believe all that?
I don't care if you don't. The fact of the matter is that it's true. And now my husband is going to make you rue the day that you were born. So prepare to kiss your restaurant goodbye.
I don't care what you say. If you're having to help out your clients yourself, then your company surely can't be that big. You're probably just mid to small size little mom and pop shop that thinks you're far important than you really are.
Do you have any idea what being a trading company even means? We move the goods that keep society flowing. So the French imports that your place relies on to promote itself as authentic, for example, are carried through our freight.
Wait, what? No, that can't be right at all. This is ridiculous.
Are you sure about that? I guess we'll see who is right tomorrow then, won't we? We're going to make you regret the way that you treated us. It's going to be too fun watching you crash and burn.
You really think that you can scare me with these empty threats? I'm not scared of you. I'll never be scared of what some pathetic little person who doesn't understand how the world works has to say to me.
Well, okay then. If you're really still not going to apologize after all I've told you, you'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. I hope business goes well for you.
Hey, it's Hillary, right? You need to get in contact with your husband right away. How am I supposed to do business like this, huh?
I'm sorry, but you're going to have to be a little more specific with that. I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about. Besides, is that any way to speak to someone that you're going to have to beg for help?
You really think that you're going to get away with this? You're going to drive me into the ground at this point.
So I take it that means you haven't gotten some of the shipments of food you need to run your business for the day, right? I did try to warn you that something like this would happen, didn't I?
This isn't a joke, okay? Did you read the message that I sent you? How in the world am I supposed to operate my business like this? I know that this is your doing. You were the one saying all those weird things to me yesterday. But I need the food here now. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to open.
So then you're reaching out to me because you think that I can help you get those supplies that you so desperately need? Because honestly, I don't really feel all that obligated to help you out at all. And my husband feels the same way too.
Are you kidding me? I am being serious here. You can't do this to me.
In fact, we were actually reading some review of your restaurant last night, and while everyone seems to agree that the prices are high, the reviews of the food itself are quite mixed.
You're talking about my restaurant? That can't be right at all. And anyone who thinks that my food isn't good needs to have their tongue medically examined.
Are you sure about that? I suppose I can't exactly say for myself, since you kicked my husband and I out of your place before we could make up our minds. After all, that was one of the reasons why we chose to go to your place to begin with.
And just what is that supposed to mean, huh?
Well, I actually wanted to go to a different place for our anniversary, but my husband insisted that we go to your place. We were worried about having to take our children with us at first, and I told my husband that they wouldn't enjoy French food. But then, when my parents said they could watch our kids, there was basically nothing else keeping us from going.
That still doesn't explain anything to me at all. Just tell me why you're doing this to me.
Well, my husband really enjoys eating out at the restaurants that he helps supply food to, though if your character is anything to base your food off of, it must not be that great anyway.
Those two things have nothing to do with one another. You can't just judge my cooking when you haven't even tried it.
Well, I suppose it's far too late to try and remedy that now, right?
No. The problem here is that your husband is trying to hold me and my restaurant hostage right now.
And I'm not sure what any of that has to do with me, personally.
Oh, come on. Surely this has to go against some contract that him and I have had to have signed to do business, right? I order goods and he delivers them. I'd paid for a service that he isn't providing. Doesn't he know I could sue him for this?
You might have a point there if it weren't for the fact that you've been paying on credit for some time now.
Wait, how do you know about that?
Because the person you do your business with is my husband. Not that you even noticed when we were in the restaurant, though. Anyways, my husband told his overseers to stop any shipments to your restaurant until you've cleared your tab with his company. It's either that or you'll have to find a new supplier.
I don't believe it. Your husband would really do that to me?
That's right. But if you'd like to complain about it, I'd rather you direct your complaints to him instead. I can't really do anything, and I certainly don't want to read all your complaints through text.
Well, the only reason I'm reaching out to you is because I don't know how to reach your husband. And just how was I supposed to know he was some big business guy anyways? Besides, he can't just involve our businesses in what is clearly a personal dispute. It's cowardly!
Really? You think that doing something like this is cowardly?
Of course it is! What kind of professional even acts like this? It's just ridiculous!
That's funny, because I was thinking the exact same thing yesterday.
What is that supposed to mean, huh?
Well, I suppose you've heard a little bit about us from your wife, right?
Well, sure, she talks about you now and then. But I only half pay attention, really.
And I suppose it's probably because of your wife that you think my husband and I are so poor, right? And that's what led to you treating us the way that you did. You didn't treat us like customers, you treated us like garbage.
But I mean, the truck that you guys come in was filthy. How was I supposed to know that you weren't really poor?
I don't know why you think you can guess that much about people's lives just from the car that they drive. But I guess that's all the reason you need to chase us out, though. Now you tell me, is that any way for a professional to act towards his customers? I don't think someone like you even deserves to have a business, personally.
So what? You're really just going to ruin all the hard work I've done because you don't like me?
No, Marcus. What happens next is entirely up to you. If you can find another seller, then you should be able to be back up and running by next week. Otherwise, you can pay the debts that you already owe to my husband. It's entirely in your hands.
Hillary, can you please tell your husband to stop this? I'm begging you.
You mean you want me to talk to him on your behalf?
That's right. If we can't get our supplies in right now, then things are going to be really bad. I don't know how long it's going to take to find a supplier that can get me everything that I need. I don't know how long my restaurant is going to stay open without the food coming in from your husband.
A very interesting proposal, but I think I'm going to pass.
Please, you can't do this to me. I'm really begging you here. I need your help.
And I'm telling you that I don't think I owe you anything after the way that you treated my husband and I. You and your horrible wife. Although I guess I see how you two ended up together now.
Okay, that is it. You could talk bad about me all you want, but you will not talk bad about my wife.
I think I just did. And I was really only being honest. You two really are a good match for each other, it seems. But don't worry. You aren't ever going to see my husband or I in your restaurant ever again. For however long it manages to stay open, that is. Have a nice life after that happens, jerk. After that, Marcus tried desperately to look for a new supplier to bring him the ingredients that he needed to stay open. Meanwhile, the bad reviews of his restaurant continued to gain attention as people wondered why the restaurant was closed on days it would normally be open. And why were they missing so many things from their menu? Needless to say, the restaurant was on its final legs. I heard that Marcus and Rhonda started getting into more and more fights after that, and in the end, they divorced. It was then that Marcus came to my husband begging for his help, but he simply ignored him. Marcus was only going deeper and deeper into debt until he was eventually forced to declare bankruptcy. But I say that he and his wife got exactly what they deserved. As for my husband and I, our lives really didn't change much. We offered special deals with other French restaurants in town who needed similar ingredients as what Marcus normally ordered from us. In this way, we didn't have to let any stock go to waste and were able to divert what Marcus would buy into other customers' businesses. And now, with Marcus's restaurant out of the way, there was actually a flourishing of French places to eat in town. So in a way, Marcus's restaurant failing has now put our town on the map as a hub of French cuisine. I guess it just goes to show you that you should never assume you're too big to fail.